The Buster Call is here, it's upon us, everyone's trying to escape, but in the end, we finally get to see Gear 3rd in action.
The One Piece, chapter 421, Third Gear, or Gear 3rd.
So that's Gear 3rd, huh? Well, hello, my brothers and sisters and gear users of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and fabulous, fantastically told, awesomely realized, creatively written and woven and incredibly drawn tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us starting out Volume 44 over here, and a number of things going on, but really it's just kind of everybody converging in one kind of area, and the end of the chapter was just the warships, man, just the fleet, the Buster Call. I mean, they're here, right? And it's funny because many chapters ago when they first talked about the Buster Call, I thought, yeah, what's the big deal? They're going to say send some ships and they fire cannonballs, big deal, you know, there's no way to escape? But then I thought about it and I forgot that everything is based off of islands, and yes, sure, some are bigger than others and whatnot, but when you have 10 huge warships that just have these, you know, that are destroyers or battleships or whatever you want to call them, with dozens of cannons of various sizes just firing explosive rounds onto it, obviously it is a hell on earth, you know. And that's how the chapter left off, though, is with all these, you know, these ships, and of course then seeing the pictures, you know, the drawn pictures, you know, that Oda did of the 5 faces of the 5 vice admirals that have been called as well for this Buster Call. So that's how the chapter left off. That's right where things pick up, and actually, as Robin goes and sees this or whatever, you know, Frankie's like, holy shit, you know, and Robin's like, I can't stop shaking. She just falls to her knees, you know. I mean, this is her worst nightmare right here, okay? You know, there's people that you fear clowns, or you don't like dogs, or there's some kind of monster that, you know, comes into your dreams or whatever that you dreamt of. The Buster Call is Robin's nightmare, man. It's her monster under the bed. It's her terror in the closet. You know, that's what it is, and it's just absolutely, it's gut wrenching to see though too, because you're like, oh my god, and you really do, you feel for her, you know. Anyways, what I like about this is that as it starts out, they talk about they're communicating with each other and like, okay, surround the island, blah blah blah, this and that, and then they're like, raise Ennie's lobby to the ground. And it's kind of funny because it's raise, R-A-Z-E, which obviously doesn't mean like raise up. It's the other raise, you know, which means like destroy, burn, you know, what have you. But it's funny because it's one of those like oxymorons. Raise it to the ground, you know. So, but anyway, not really, because they used the different version of it. But they say to leave. The criminal Nico Robin is to be left for right now anyway, so the Bridge of Hesitation, they're going to pass that up for right now, and it's off limits to be able to hit because of a deal that was made with Aokiji, right? So he wants Nico Robin alive, apparently. But the funny part about it is as all this happens, you know, Spandam's just like, yes, of course, they're not going to burn this area because I'm here, the director of CP9. Even my father said, you know, that, you know, his father Spandine, the other, you know, the other piece of shit turd burglar, you know, he even said, you know, the Buster Call, of course, on O'Hara 20, they killed everybody but me, you know, it spared me, the Buster Call, like they saw him and said, oh no, the director of CP9, right? Hold the phone, it's Spandam, oh my god. So, it's a guy, he kind of looks like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. If you don't know who the Gimp is from Pulp Fiction, if you've never seen the movie, that's fine. Go ahead and Google it. I'm sure there's probably clips and pictures and stuff like that. But the Gimp, he looks like somebody that just got out of like just like a bad like orgy that he found on Craigslist or something. So, anyways, so one of those is supposed to be an orgy, you know, but it's like only 10 guys that show up and no chicks. Anyways, so I just love the you know, how he's so full of himself still. He thinks that all these warships are going around and that they're sparing him. You know, in reality, they're obviously sparing Robin. So, nonetheless, though, they go to get into position over here. Sniper King is actually being, from his jump off of the Tower of Law, not being caught. He's actually being carried in like a piece of tarp or cloth or whatever from each side. Almost looks like a hammock that he's laying in. And he's bitching and complaining because Zoro and Sanji are kind of, it's like too bumpy of a ride for him, you know. And he's complaining, he's like, oh my god, all my ribs are broken, all 6 of them, you know. And then you get there, they're like, dude, you got more than 6 ribs, cut it out, you know. Oh man, oh my god, you guys gotta stop, all 10 of my ribs are broken. It's just like, oh Jesus, you know. Back to the funny, sort of comic relief, full of shit Usopp, right, that we all know and love. And, or at least most of us probably know. So, nonetheless, we've got that going on. And then, of course, we know that in the last chapter, you know, Lucci wound up going and actually using his Tempest kick and busting, you know, busting a hole in the wall and starting to go and draw water down, and that'll obviously go to that lowest point, that tunnel that we know now, of course, everybody is in. So we see that happening as well as Nami and Kokoro and all them, you know, Gonbi and Chimney and whatnot, and Chopper are trying to get through, you know, this underground tunnel. What the hell, water, you know? And, you know, so we know we got that to deal with, right? But then the majority of this takes place, and the majority of this chapter focuses on Lucci and Luffy, right? And the chapter's actually called Gear Third, you know, and, or Third Gear or whatever. Really cool stuff, though. So, anyway, we wind up, they're fighting, they're going at it, and Lucci winds up going immediately as the room's starting to fill up. He actually goes and does his moonwalking, you know, takes off and goes up to a higher point through this ladder and everything else, right? So they wind up getting through there as well, you know, or Luffy winds up going up through there as well and getting up on top, and they're going to go, and they're in this other room higher up, you know, that's going to wind up staying dry for them to actually conclude and have their fight. So Lucci and Luffy are looking at each other and about to go at it, and Lucci, of course, is like, hey, you know what, you probably just burned yourself out, you got nothing left over here for me. Luffy winds up going and using his, you know, he goes, gum, rifle, you know, and goes to use this on him, and he goes, iron body, empty tree, and I guess it's a counterattack with iron body that he says would break a normal person's hand, would shatter his hand or whatever. Luffy's hand, of course, just bounces off harmlessly, but nonetheless, though, he goes and he's like, listen, you know what, go ahead and save your friends if you want to, it's cool. And Luffy's like, fuck no, I know that if I go to do that and something happens to me, you'll wind up going, if I'm not taking my eyes off you, because I know that you'll go and you'll try to kill them, right? And Luffy, and it's great because Lucci's almost like, all right, he almost has like this admiration and respect for him, like, okay, you are truly the captain in this net, but let's see if your determination, right, can actually keep up with your moves. You know, can you put your money where your mouth is? You've got the heart, right? You've got the soul and everything else, but do you have the strength to keep up with it, or did you burn yourself out with your second gear, right? And you know, because Luffy obviously was using a bunch of different moves on him, or attempting to. He winds up coming at him with this you know, finger pistol, and then he uses this other thing, finger dart or something like that, I think it is. It looks like it goes, and you see some blood come out of Luffy and whatnot. Really, the whole climax or the apex of this chapter, though, is finally being able to actually see this third gear, this gear third in action, right? And Luffy goes, and as he goes to do this, man, he's just like, oh, don't worry about it. I still got some backbone. I still got some more surprises. And the funny part is how they use the word backbone, you know? It's always a metaphor, somebody with a backbone, right? But Luffy, it's funny because everything of him is obviously made of rubber, so technically he kind of doesn't have a backbone. He's kind of got like a rubber bone. Anyway, I guess it's still a bone though, right? But it is funny though to hear that some of those little things that are thrown in there that to me I find comical. But anyway, Luffy goes and he just pulls his fist back, right? And he goes, gear third, and this is, of course, he bites into his finger, bites into his thumb. Whatever he winds up doing, he actually starts injecting air, I guess, into his bones, and I'm assuming it makes his bones kind of balloon up or whatever, because he does this thing, it's called bone balloon. So he pulls his arm back, right, and this thing first is just pumping up and looking like this huge Popeye arm, you know, and this thing's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right, and, you know, Lucci's like, what the hell, I don't want any of your stupid parlor tricks type things, and Luffy's like, oh no, here, I love this. He goes and he explains, as he bites into a bone balloon, he's like, bone? Yeah, the air's moving through my bones, picking up power. And I'm like, okay, see my left arm? It's the arm of a giant. And he goes and he, you know, obviously he pulls this thing out and he's sitting there and he's like, cut the cheap tricks. And then Luffy's just like, gum. And then the next thing, man, look at this shit. Giant pistol! And I mean, blows the whole side of this freaking tower that they're fighting in, this room or whatever, blows the whole side out of it. There's his fist, right? The size of his fist. And then there's Lucci. Lucci, now remember, he would, like, when he turned into leopard, looked like he was about 10 feet tall, right? And look at that shit. Look at that. Oh my God. So I don't know what's gonna wind up happening to Lucci. I don't know if he's gonna wind up moonwalking his ass back on. If he just got knocked the fuck out, I don't know. If he lands in the water, he's done for, because you know he's a devil fruit user. But boy, was it cool to see that. I mean, it wasn't like I had to wait that long for it. I know everybody kind of told me, you know, in the comments, don't worry, you'll see, you know, third gear pretty soon, right? Yeah, because we didn't actually see it before. It kind of happened off camera, and then all of a sudden Luffy was just like this tiny little, little chibi guy or whatever, you know, like a little kid again. You're like, oh, that's so cute to do. Let's pick him up and hold him. But anyway, that's how the chapter ends off over here, and boy, was that cool, though, man. Was that neat seeing that. And then, of course, we got all the warships on, you know, taking, you know, obviously taking their positions around the island, just starting to bomb Eni's lobby. It's a shit it's officially, it's hit the fan. It's splattering everywhere. There's shit just everywhere. It's all over the place, man. Oh my God. Not for the faint of heart. Awesome, awesome chapter, though. So, my chapter question, of course, if you couldn't tell already, is really what are your thoughts on Gear 3rd now that, you know, we've seen it in action and we've kind of gotten a little bit of an explanation on how it works, and really just seeing this fist like the size of a house just boom, just pummeling Lucci, I thought was great, you know. So, let me know what your thoughts are, though, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Hey, remember to check out my other channels and follow me on Twitter and Facebook too, man.